it is time to nerd out. Hey guys, it's Bad Snacks here. Today I have a super fun video for you from my new studio / apartment / studio apartment. It is about my 5 favorite small boy synths. Most of my synthesizers are actually like either handheld or meant to be portable, or they're just like smaller synths. Wow, there's a drummer on my street. This is another reason that I'm doing this video is I feel like a lot of these synths are actually really great entry-level synths for getting into hardware synthesis. All except for one are under $1,000. These are just from my personal collection. I know that I'm missing a lot of other small synths that could have easily made this list, but again, I'm just talking about my collection. These are the synths that I use, and I use them frequently. I use them in all of my beat tapes and all of my like commissioned work, so I'm not going to talk about synths that I don't use. That being said, I'd love to start a discussion in the comment section about what you think is the best small boy synth. I'd love to know your answers. Also, I just want to mention that if you are interested in getting any of these synths, I would highly recommend checking them out on reverb.com, because on reverb.com you can get new ones, but you can also get secondhand used ones that are also in perfectly good condition for way cheaper. It's kind of like Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, but like with more accountability. It's a little bit more professional, and you get to support small shops if you want. So anyway, I'm gonna leave a link down below. I'll probably link every single synth that I talk about, and you can check them out there. So anyway, let's just get right into it. So number 5 on the small boy list is actually the biggest boy of the small boys, which is my MiniLog XD. And I'm kind of going to put the MiniLog OG in there as well. I think they're both amazing synths for starters. I've also heard that the Micro Korg is also great for starters. I do not own the Micro Korg, so I can't speak to it, but I can speak to this, and I think that this is a great synth. I ended up going with the XD originally because when I was on tour, my keyboardist, Button Masher, needed a synthesizer to play the parts for my music, and this one was like portable and could replicate a lot of the sounds that I had used in my productions, all just with one keyboard. Like, it wasn't like we had to use multiple synthesizers. The reason that I ended up getting the XD instead of the MiniLog was just because there's just more features on this one. This one has a 3rd oscillator. It's a digital oscillator, so that gives you a lot of options. It also has onboard effects that the original MiniLog does not. It also has a really user-friendly sequencer and interface in general. I'm playing through it right now. You can't hear it though. So the reason that I recommend this is because it's super user-friendly. If you're just getting into synthesis, you'd be able to understand this. It's pretty simple to map things here because it's a partially digital interface, and there's a ton of storage for patches and designing effects and stuff like that. Y'all should check out Bo Beats' comparison of the two. I think it's a great video. This retails new for around $650, and then the original MiniLog retails for, I think, just about $350. If you got the MiniLog OG, I don't think that you would regret it. Even though this has a ton of features, it's not like my life depends on having built-in reverb and delay and having a 3rd oscillator, but I will say that it sounds great, and it's just a very friendly synth. I don't know what else to say about it. Number 4 on the small boys list is the Roland Boutique series, and I know I'm kind of clumping a lot of synths together, but I'm gonna do that because they're awesome. I've played with all of them, but the ones that I own are the JU06A and then my SH01A. I love these for a couple reasons. First of all, they sound amazing. They are extremely close to the original sounds of the analog synthesizers that they're emulating. These are what are called virtual analog synthesizers. It uses a lot of algorithms to help emulate that vintagey sound. What I also love about them is that they are kind of modular. So this one even has like a CV out and a gate out, so I can hook this up, I can patch this into my other synths as well, which I love. And this one is attached to a keyboard that I got, but you can also control it with another keyboard. You can get like the classic drum machines, other classic synthesizers. I strongly believe that these are super worth the money. I think these go anywhere between $400 to $500, whether or not you're getting them like used. This one, I was so happy when they issued this one, because it's like it emulates the 60 but also the 106 with just like the flip of a knob, and it has all these different presets and a sequencer involved. I actually don't think I have anything bad to say about them. They're also super portable, which I really like. Anyway, good. This is the part of the list where we start getting into small synths that are also kind of like DAWs, digital audio workstations. So of course, this would make my list because a lot of you know that I am MC101 girl. But for real, I actually really do like the MC101. So it's like a 4-track with a sequencer, a sampler, a keyboard, a bajillion presets, and a really solid synth engine inside. So you basically think about like all of these classic Roland sounds, you can get them in this box. You can make full compositions on this because there is like a clip mode, and what's really fun about this is that you have a master multi-effects that has like a bunch of the classic Roland effects, like some of the things that you would get from an SP404, but uniquely there is this scatter button, and the scatter effects, there's 16 of them that correspond with each key, and they are super saucy, and I really like them. They're super unique. I do actually use this a lot. I use it primarily for the drum machine and some of the scatter effects. I also use it for a bunch of classic Roland sounds that I can't get with my Boutique series. So yes, as MC101 girl, I can confirm I do like the MC101. I will say there are a couple things that I'm not a huge fan of, so to be, candid with you, I don't like that there isn't an input. It makes sampling a little bit difficult. You have to import your samples via an SD card. I don't personally like the design of having the screws in to get to the SD card. I don't think that's like a super smart design per se. And then another thing is that there isn't like a backup button. Like if you mess up your take, you have to delete the whole take. So there are like little shortcomings here and there, but overall I do really like this. Again, this is a DAW in a box, and because it's portable, it's awesome. So that retail value is like anywhere between $400 to $500. I think that it's worth the money literally just in the sound bank alone, because you have so much access to so many classic Roland sounds. Again, it's a DAW, you can perform live with it. You can also hook it up to other synths in your chain. I do believe that it's worth the money, but I think that there are also a lot of used ones on the market. So again, just check Reverb, that's what I would do. Number 2 on my small boys synth list is the only, very famous OP1. And sorry if mine looks a little rough. I've put it to a lot of use. Yeah, I've loved the heck out of this thing, and I'm very grateful to have one. So this is, again, a digital audio workstation and a synthesizer and a sampler. And I think what makes the OP1 a super unique and amazing synth is the user interface. It has one of the best user interfaces and user experiences for a synth I can think of. It's just so smart and quirky and cute, and also like you can sample things from the radio, you can make sequences. Their drums with the monkeys is probably one of my favorite things on this. There's something about the compression in the sampler that makes drums just sound so good. So you'll see a lot of like producers on Instagram like using the OP1 for their drums, and I think it's because of that just really sweet saturation and compression. It's just really nice. So I don't want to talk your ear off about this because I feel like anyone who knows anything about synths knows a lot about the OP1, and there's plenty of resources about it online because it's been out for years. But one thing I would like to draw your attention to is that they do have the OPZ, and because they have an iOS interface, it's a very similar experience for a fraction of the price. So if you're really dead set on teenage engineering, I would look into the OPZ. I would also look into pocket operators. Pocket operators are obviously like nowhere close to the same capacity, but as far as like drum machines and samplers go, they're actually pretty great. When it comes to the pocket operator, I would recommend looking at producers like DiBiase or Lightfoot, because they make the pocket operator sound so sick. Do I think that it's worth upwards of $1,000? That's a tough question. I think at this rate, for me personally, I'm very stingy with money, so probably not. I'm gonna put somewhere on this screen what the original price was and like what it's going for now. So anyway, this is my number 2 boy. If you have been following my journey at all throughout the years, you know exactly what is in my lap right now, which is none other than the Organelle by Critter and Guitari. This was my first synth ever. So this is the original version. They did actually just put out a new version that has some pretty useful features. The new version has a speaker, a built-in microphone, it has MIDI in, MIDI out, and an on and off switch, which this does not have. So let me tell you about why I love the Organelle so much and why I will never ever regret purchasing this for my first synth. So this is a synth that I originally saw on Knobs' YouTube channel. He did a review of this that was just so enchanting, and at the time I had no hardware synthesizers. I was just getting into beat making, but he basically went over so many different things of like how this is like an everything machine, and that it's like it's open source, so it's constantly evolving. People can design patches for it, and I was like, you know what, that seems like a really good bang for your buck. And let me tell you, it really was. So here's the thing about the Organelle is that it runs off of a program called Pure Data, so you can actually design your own patches, or you can download patches from patchstorage.com that other people have designed previously. This thing can be anything. It's a sequencer, it's a sampler, it's a synth, it's a sound processor, it's a pedal, it's everything. What I use it for the most these days is I use it to synthesize my violin. I just made a video about that earlier this year, and you can check that out if you want to see what that looks like. But yeah, this has some of the most creative patches on it, and it's an endless creativity machine. And here's the thing too, is somebody developed a program called Orac, I guess a patch called Orac, but anyway, it's a patch that you can download that allows you to use multiple patches at once. So in effect, this becomes a DAW. You can run a sequencer, a synth, and an effects chain all at the same time and control the parameters from here. There's just limitless things that you can do with this synth. So I'll talk about a couple cons. The number one thing is that the synth engine on this is like not super high quality. It doesn't have that much depth to it, and I would not recommend it for like getting bass tones, for instance. I think it almost sounds like a little bit two-dimensional, but I think that when you're just starting out, it's actually fine. There's a lot of ways that you can work with it. I don't really love the fidelity of how it processes samples sometimes, but overall, the pros just so outweigh the cons, and like I said, I don't even have the newest version, and I love all of the updates that they decided to do. And also, very important, the new one is battery powered. This one is not. I should have mentioned that earlier. That makes it obviously portable when it's battery powered, which then allows it to compete with things like the OP1 and the MC101. That's a huge upgrade. But like I said, like even with the parameters that I'm working with here, I still love this thing. I will never regret buying this thing. So when I bought this, it was like just shy of $500, and I think you can get it used for like a little less than $400, especially this model. I don't entirely know what the new ones retail for. I'll put it up here somewhere. But I really do think it's a bang for your buck, just considering how much it can do. So, yeah. So I wanted to make like a quick little, I don't want to call it honorable mention, but I did want to include them in this video. The first one is the new Werkstatt-01 by Moog. This actually just came out, so I'm still getting used to it. I'm still figuring out its sweet spots. One thing that I will say confidently is that when you get this, it's like around $200. For that value, you're getting one of the best synth sounds like in history, and like the best filters. The sound fidelity on this is insane, and I've really enjoyed working with this because you can also patch it into other modular synthesizers, and I've just been having so much fun with this. Plus it has like 1-octave keyboard in here, and the possibilities are endless. The next kind of honorable mention small boy is the Empress ZOIA, and this is a modular foot pedal. So it's a synthesizer and a sound processor, effects pedal, everything. So I would actually compare this pretty closely to the Organelle, because you can run sequencers, you can have synthesizers, effects processing, all of that really good stuff. And I will actually say that in terms of sound quality, this sounds better than the Organelle, for sure. I think my personal reservations is just that the user interface is just not super friendly, and I think what they've done is brilliant, but I also feel like combining the modular community with like the guitar pedal community, that's a huge undertaking, and I feel like this is definitely a step in the right direction, but I'm looking forward to future versions, and I know that they've been working on more versions of this. I've had this for a little while now, and like I said, the like reverbs and delays on here are just like chef's kiss, and the synthesizers sound great. It's just that the learning curve has been a little bit difficult for me, so that's why I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to a beginning hardware synth person. But I love Empress, I love everything that they do, and this is a really smart pedal, so I wanted it to get onto the list. Sneeze! Oh my god, are you okay? No. Oh, and he yawned. I don't know if you can hear that. So I hope you enjoyed that video, and again, I will put all of the links to all of the synths that I talked about in the description below. And again, if you guys want to discuss your favorite small boy synths, please do, because my collection is very limited and I just wanted to talk about my favorite small synths. You don't even care about synthesizers.